The Horn of Africa comprises Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia. In earlier times, this area was referred to as Habasha. It is to no amazement that the people of Habasha pride themselves as being one of the very few nations that Islam reached at its beginning. Through the noble words of Ja'far ibn Abu Talib radiyallahu anhu, the light of Islam shone over this region before even that of the blessed Medina. 2011 became a major chapter in the suffering of the poor people of East Africa. A prolonged period of failed rains led to the worst drought witnessed in the region for 60 years. Millions of Muslims, already in the lap of poverty, were left with no food, no water, and nowhere to turn to. Children starved, mothers wept, fathers had no answers. Quenching their thirst was but a dream. The water had disappeared. The dead were buried, even without their compulsory bath. This brutal dry season had turned the region upside down. Thousands fled from southern Somalia into northeast Kenya, seeking relief in the sprawling Dadaab refugee camp. In their search for help, mothers and their children walked for weeks, for hundreds of miles, on bare and bloodied feet, not knowing their end. Others fled to city safe havens. Mogadishu, Baidoa, and Afgoy were inundated with families seeking respite. Ummah Welfare Trust, operating in the region since 2006 and with a strong network already in place, responded immediately. Through Ramadan, UWT teams oversaw relief efforts across Dadaab, Garissa and Modegash in northeast Kenya. Over 8,000 emergency food packs were handed out to exhausted Somali families arriving at the entry point of Dadaab camp, a camp that came to symbolize the massive suffering taking place across the region. In the parched areas of Garissa and Modegash, a further 4,000 families received emergency food aid. While around the city of Garissa, iftar programs were set up in 10 masajid. Throughout July, August and September, thousands of food packages were distributed to families in the Bay and Bokol districts of Somalia, the epicenter of this crisis. On the day of Eid al-Fitr, 5,000 refugee families in Mogadishu received freshly cooked food. From Baidoa city, a water tanker was deployed, delivering water to 1,000 families in the Bay and Bokol region every single day. Once the rains arrived, 3 tankers were sent to Mogadishu to provide water to the huge refugee camps that had now blanketed the city.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, respected brothers and sisters in the UK. This is Ummah Welfare Trust in Mogadishu, Somalia. Alhamdulillah, one of the best projects of Ummah Welfare Trust that we are doing here, and we're going to show you today, is giving these people clean drinking water, inshallah. By the side of me you have 2 large water distributing vehicles. Alhamdulillah, a very amazing amount of water in these 2. 41,960 liters of clean drinking water to be precise, inshallah, which will be given on your behalf to these people who have lack of access to clean drinking water. Alhamdulillah, this is one of 3 water tankers the Ummah Welfare Trust is currently operating, and alhamdulillah, you will see the benefit. You can see the lines of the people over here waiting anxiously with their cartons to take some clean drinking water at home.
The construction of 170 water wells across Somalia is also underway. To mobilize resources much quicker, offices and storage centres were established in Mogadishu and Baidoa. Every corner of drought-hit Somalia is now within reach. But more had to be done. 3 UWT cargo planes brought relief supplies of tents, food packages, kitchen utensil sets and gifts for children. Alhamdulillah, due to these planes, tents were distributed in the camps of Gargar, Gulwain, Garsur and Al-Rahma in Mogadishu, in Bonkai and Al-Yasir camps in Baidoa, and in the towns of Al-Ad and Badir in Gido. 45-kilogram food packs were handed out to refugee families across the Hodan district of Mogadishu. And kitchen utensil sets, which last a lifetime, were distributed in the districts of Bay, Gido and Banadir. Ummah Welfare Trust will always try its best to help the ignored, those who are unheard, who have no support, and yet remain steadfast in their struggles with this life. It is why Ummah Welfare Trust, in whichever country it administers relief work, will always extend a hand to the widow, to the orphan, to the sick, and to the disabled.
This is Brother Abdullah. He's writing the names down now, and when he's issuing the card, he's also taking the code number, which is specific. As you can see the code number here, this red one. That's what's going to be written down on our own diary. We will keep this copy, and the card is given to the recipient.
يا هادي يا بديع يا باقي يا وارث يا رشيد يا صبور يا رشيد يا صبور سبحانك يا إله لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين اللهم اجعلنا من المقبولين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد بارك الله فيك جزاكم الله.
The charity also launched a nationwide fundraising campaign for school children in the UK. Called Kids for Kids, the campaign encouraged children from across the country to raise money and extend a hand to refugee children in Somalia. School children's efforts allowed new clothes and gifts to be handed out to poor Somali children in refugee camps across Mogadishu. Smiles were also brought to the sick children of Banadir Hospital, the city's largest hospital. For the Qurbani program, 2,700 goats were sacrificed for the drought victims. Famine-hit areas of Hudur, Barhakaba, Ufuro, Wajid, Baidoa and Banadir were targeted. Alhamdulillah, approximately 100,000 displaced persons benefited from the Qurbani project in Somalia this year.
Ummah Welfare Trust has started a cooked food program, alhamdulillah, for the patients over here and for the relatives as well of those patients who come here. So this is, inshallah, an ongoing project that Ummah Welfare Trust is doing in here on the ground in Mogadishu.
To help poor patients in their rehabilitation, Ummah Welfare Trust initiated cooked food programs in Banadir Hospital and Medina Hospital. Alhamdulillah, 1,000 patients and their attendees now receive freshly cooked rice, meat, vegetables and some fruit every single day.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Donors in the UK, you can see the condition of some of the children being affected by severe diseases and wounds here in Banadir Hospital. And many of these people are very poor, and if Ummah Welfare Trust was not providing them with cooked food on a daily basis, then many of these would have to fend for themselves or die out of starvation.
Recent generations in Somalia have grown up accustomed to nothing but war, displacement and hunger. the number of orphans in the country has inevitably spiraled. As part of the overall relief program, full support is being provided to every child boarding at the orphanages of Markaz al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiyallahu anha in Mogadishu and in Markaz Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu in Baidoa. Food, beds, clothing, books, medicines and much more will be provided for these 700 orphan children, inshallah.
بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. تقبل الله ومنا ومنكم عيد المبارك علينا وعليكم. سنة أياما أحلى الأيام يا ربي أعزة كل الأعوام مفاز كلهما صلى وصاه وجيتيان اليوم أخاه من البشرى تجد يا عيد بالخير والكبرى فأنت لنا يوم فرحتنا الكبرى تجمع الأحباب لنصنع الفجر. تقبل الله ومنا ومنكم.
We have Mustafa here. He will be sharing some ahadith with us, ahadith that they've been learning in Markaz Umar ibn al-Khattab, the orphanage supported by Ummah Welfare Trust. The teachers have been teaching them Quran. Many of these young children here have memorized majority of the Quran. Some are huffaz as well, and most of them, or nearly all of them, have been learning ahadith and memorizing the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Mustafa here will be sharing some ahadith with us, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
النبي على شداد بن أوس الداري رضي الله عنه قال: إن الله كتب الإحسان على كل شيء، فإذا قتلتم فأحسنوا القتلة، وإذا ذبحتم فأحسنوا الذبحة، وليرح أحدكم شفرته وليرح ذبيحته.
Ummah Welfare Trust will now embark on its medium to long-term phase. 5,000 specially made steel shelters which last a lifetime, hand-stitched clothing, mushafs, 50,000 food packages and 10,000 kitchen sets will be shipped into Somalia this year. Shipments will come monthly and will continue to do so till at least next Ramadan. The race between life and death still goes on, and as such, there is much work ahead. Let us not forget the sacrifices of Bilal radhiyallahu anhu when we see his descendants today. Let us not forget that the first Muhajirin of Islam were given shelter on this land, were given food on this land, given security on this land. Finally, let us not forget our obligations to the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of Ummahs. So join Ummah Welfare Trust and let us go forward together in this life and for the next, inshallah.